Hello everyone, my name is Anishana and you are watching CKAD video part 4. Today we will discuss about the topic service and networking, and it has 20% weightage as per Linux Foundation website. We will cover three topics. These are demonstrate basic understanding of network policies. Second, provide and troubleshoot access to application via services. And the last is use ingress rule to expose applications. Let's focus the first one, that is demonstrate basic understanding of network policies. In this topic, examiner will ask you to create network policy as per some situation. Let's take an example of one scenario. In CKD exam, most of the questions you have been asked to use some specific context. For this sample question, this is the context you may use for the practice purpose. You have roll out new pod. The name of pod is this on your Kubernetes cluster under the namespace CKAD 0021. Any namespace. Now you need to strengthen the network security. A network policy is already there. Your tasks are followed. Update the new created pod to allow it and to send traffic from the web and storage pod only. The very first one is use the right context. Check the running pod in the namespace CKAD. Thus, we can use kubectl-n, the name of the namespace, get pod -o wide -- show labels. Check the network policy in the namespace. We can check get netpol, get this namespace. After that, we can describe the network policy and the name of the policy. You will get it from the above command. For an example, I created for the lab purpose is this is. Please bear in mind that this is a sample network policy and there is no guarantee that you will observe this network policy in the exam. In this network policy, it is created for CKAD 0021 namespace. Hence, it will only apply to this namespace. Port selector is empty. It means that this network policy is applicable to all port on this namespace. This is what it is written here, to all port in this namespace. The ingress traffic and egress traffic both are isolated to the traffic. It means that this pod will not receive or send any traffic to any pod. This is the network policy that we created. Check the ports if we can access another port. Ideally, it should not, but let's try. If we execute this command, we will observe this output. We can use CKAD port number and then we can curl the IP address of the second port, that is 133.146. So this is the, we can check from this port to storage port, or we can use www port to check the traffic. From www port we can check if we can access to this. We can directly edit the network policy, but for exam point of view, don't take risk. Thus, redirect the network policy manifest file into one YAML file. After that, delete this network policy. Now it's time to edit the network policy that we created here. Thus, we will use VI editor to open this file. I have modified the network policy just for your reference that these are the labels that we need to add here. In the port selector, we have matched label and allow access to true. Allow access to true. This is the label here. It means that this policy is applicable to this port only. Now, in the ingress, it is app equal to secure hyphen app. This is the labels that we can add here. I have also added here. Here we need to add the port labels that need to send the traffic to port this port. In the other way, we can say that this port means this CKAD pod can receive the traffic from these labeled pod. For egress, again we have added the same labels that is here. It means that this pod can send the traffic to the labels. It means that this pod can send the traffic to the pods which has these labels. App equal to secure hyphen app. This is what I have written here. CKAD new port can send the traffic to pod which has this label. This is the editing we need to do here, and we can get all these information from the kubernetes.io webpage directly. Now we have added the content. Now we can apply this network policy. It is always worth to perform the post check. Hence, we can use describe command. Again, check the pod IP address. Now, send the traffic to the pod CKAD network pool new pod to the new IP address, and we should see the output like this after applying the policy. So let's go to the lab section here, and these are my repositories. You need to click on CKAD here, and after that click on service and networking. Now we need to create the lab setup first. For that, I'm just copying all this information here. So this is the network policy I'm going to create in my lab. Now my lab is created here. Check the running pod in the namespace. This one, copy and check the labels, and all are running here. After that, we can check the network policy. My network policy is this inside this namespace. We can also describe this network policy. And here it says that this network policy is the name of this network policy is default hyphen deny, and the namespace is CKAD0021. It none means all ports inside this namespace. It will be applied to all the ports which are created inside this namespace. And it says isolated, it means it cannot receive the traffic and it cannot send the traffic. Egress. Fair enough. If we try to send the traffic, I should not see the traffic here. So let me copy here CKAD port here, and here I'm logging into the www port and trying to access this one, and I should see request timeout after 5 seconds. Curl minus S minus O is for output and minus M is for time. So after 5 seconds it will, and minus V is for verbose mode. After 5 minutes, if we not receive any response from this URL, it should time out. Let me clear the window here. We can directly edit the network policy, but for the exam point of view, we just redirect the network policy YAML file into one file here. And after that, we can delete this network policy. No issue. After that, we can add the network policy, and we need to add these information. Match labels. Just copy here. Inside this port selector, just need to press A, press enter and insert here. Indentation is always good. From the ingress, we need to add this section here. I have already explained the network policy, so let me skip this part here. Now let's try here. It is created here. Let me show you again here network policy. I just add ingress, egress, and after that indentation is need this indentation here. Okay. Now we have applied. Now we created the new network policy here. Not we have modified the existing network policy, and we created here, verified the network policy. Now we can describe this network policy here like this one. The name of network policy is this, and it is created namespace this, and allow access equal to true. This is the labels. Now send the traffic to the pod, this one, the same command that we executed before. Let me clear the window here and paste it over here so that I can copy the IP address. Now I should see the result. It means that www pod can send the traffic to this pod. And also, if we want to use vice versa, what we can use here, and it can also send the traffic to other pods. Let's take an example for the storage pod. Now I have observed welcome to Nginx web page. It means that it can send the traffic. If this is the case for you, it means that you have created the network policy successfully. Let's move to second topic, that is provide and troubleshoot access to application via services. In this topic, they may ask you to modify the deployment and add it on one service and then check if you can able to access the newly created service. Let's take an example. Again, we have one context that we need to use. Your task is scaling an existing deployment for availability and creating a service to expose the deployment within your infrastructure. And our task is start with the deployment name this, which has already been created to the namespace on this. Edit it to add a new role equal to web frontend key value labels to the pod template metadata to identify the pod for service definition. And it should have 5 replica. It means that indirectly they are saying that add these two things. One is label, the other thing is replica we need to add here. After that, next create and deploy in namespace this a service that accomplish the following. Expose the service on TCP port number 8000. After that, it map to the port defined by the specification of this. After that, should have node port service and has the service name is this. What we can do here, we need to create the service with this name and the service type is node port and it should expose to port number 8000 and it capture the ports that we added these labels here. Fair enough. Solution would be first use the right context, that is this one. It is given in the question. Just copy paste. After that, check the deployment in the given namespace. Check the port labels. If we execute this command, we should see these are the labels. Now we need to add the labels. First thing first, take the backup of the deployment into one file. This is the way -o YAML and redirect into one file. Now edit this deployment. We can use edit subcommand. This is my edit and after editing, I see that replica is 5 I have mentioned here and that in the template metadata we edit the labels here. Rule colon web frontend. Whatever it is given in the question. That's it. Once we done, if we execute the command kubectl get pod show labels, I should see the role equal to web frontend labels that is given in the question. In exam, any label it is given to you, just modify the deployment. Inside this template, please bear in mind that you need to add the labels inside the template. If you add inside this selector, your pod will not update it with the new labels. Fair enough. If we execute this command get show labels, we should see this type of output here. After that, what we can do, we can create a service as per the question. Now we know that we can expose the deployment and also create the service. And the name of my service is this one. And the syntax is hyphen hyphen name. The port number is 8000 and the target port is 80. This is my container port number. Hyphen hyphen type is node port. This is what it is given. and hyphen hyphen role equal to web frontend. In the question, it is mentioned that it acquired the pod which has these labels. For that reason, I have added this option. Now, if we now get this service, after that we can also describe here. When we use get service, we should see that port is type is node port. It should has cluster IP address and it's bind with this port number like this one. If you wish, you can check the endpoints, but it is not required in the exam. For the post checks, you can use your virtual machine IP address and colon 34,000. This is what it is here. When you performing this lab, you should see a different port number. So don't get confused that I use this port number. So this is a dynamic port assigned by the Kubernetes. Now let's proceed with the lab. We can also clear the lab for the first question here. Let me paste it over here. And now we need to read the lab for question number 2. This is the question here. The right very first one is that use the right context. Use this one. kubectl get deployment. I see one deployment here. It is running. I can also check the labels of these ports. These are the ports label here. First things first, take the backup of this existing if we did any mistake so that we can retrieve the our deployment. For the post checks, so now we have done here. Now edit this deployment and increase the replica and add one more label at the port template. Now I'm using here edit sub command and the replica should be 5 here. If I use R, it is replace single escape button and then template, metadata and labels inside the template. Press O with same indentation here, and in our question the labels it has asked us for rule colon web front. Just copy and paste over here. You can see, you can observe that there is one space here. Thus I also use one space here, or I can use it is good. I just cross checked here. For the postx I can use this command again execute. Now I see rule equal to web fronted is there. Fair enough. We can create the service as per the question here. Right click here. Let me clear the window. Expose the deployment. The deployment name is this one inside this namespace. And the name of the service is this. Port is 8000 and target port is 80. Type is node port and hyphen hyphen label rule equal to web front. And please bear in mind that there is no colon here. It is equal to, it should be equal. Hit enter. My service is exposed here. We can check the IP address, get service. I should see node port service 8000 and the port number is this time different. As I said, it is dynamic port number assigned by the Kubernetes. If you wish, if you want, you can also check the endpoints of the services. It should see my port IP address. If you want, you can use this one, get ports minus O white. I see these IP address 151 should be here 151. Okay. Now check the IP address here of my VM IPA. My IP address is 192.168.1.31. If I go to my browser here, this one, and what it says colon this one. I can also check from the command line, but let's check, and the port number is this one 30,032 colon 30,032. I should see welcome to Nginx. And also you can use same thing here. I can also use with the help of curl command welcome to Nginx. Clear the lab for the second question here. Let's move to PPT hour. This is our last topic, that is use ingress rule to expose application. And I'm not sure you will get some question from this topic in exam. If you observe a question from this topic, then don't forget to mention in the comment section. It may help other candidates. That's it for this video. If you like my videos, please like and share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you very much. Bye bye.